Our first playable character from Snezhnaya is finally here, and we gotta talk about this beautiful ballerina's design. If you do not want to be spoiled for any of the story beats in the first two Archon quests of version 7.0, I suggest clicking off the video to be safe. Let's get into it. Right away, the color palette blew my socks off. You have white and blue carrying the majority of the design, giving it a cool feeling, but then you discover some of the soft pinkish purple highlights as the accent color. I cannot stress how nicely this color palette complements each other perfectly. And Odette does fall into using golden trim to help break up some of the shapes, but by making it a duller gold color, it's not as jarring against the cool tones of her outfit. I absolutely love how they went about color balance with Odette's design. You have the sparkly blue torso, and by making the underside of her ballet skirt the same dark blue, it complements the white colors of her outfit so well. By having one of her gloves be white and the other be a darker blue, it hints towards Odette's two different sides. When you take a closer look at her design, you'll be able to pick up various swan motifs. Many of the golden accents are the silhouette shape of a swan, and you can especially see this on her backside. Even the little hearts on her hips are more angular to suggest that of two swan heads coming together. The small detached pieces of fabric on her arm resemble that of swan feathers, and you can also see this in the ornate hairpiece. When Odette was first revealed to us in the Sudden Snow trailer, almost everyone knew immediately that she was a ballerina of some kind, and it didn't take much digging to discover that she likely has multiple references to Swan Lake, which is a famous ballet act that tells the story of, you guessed it, Odette. This character was directly named from this act, and the Odette of Swan Lake is a princess, which is referenced in Odette's pretty tiara on her head. I love that her hair is tied up so it's not whipping around her when she does all those twirls and dance moves, but the designers decided to give her bun rose-like qualities. They could have just tied Odette's hair up and called it a day, but instead they took the opportunity to hint at her connection to Rosaline, who also had her hair tied up into similar roses like this. I loved this little detail, and I actually like that Odette and Rosaline didn't get along. Even though in the story Odette is on track to become the next fair lady, it wasn't smooth sailing, and I like this because it complements Rosaline's character. I know many fans are sad that Rosaline had perished, but we had to remember that she wasn't exactly liked by many people in the Genshin story. I love that Odette's story emphasizes this, and when Rosaline was ready to make a change to see Odette's performance and support her ballet, Rosaline unfortunately didn't make it because of the events in Inazuma. I know I'm getting a little off topic by discussing Rosaline here, but I was hoping that the 8th Harbinger would get a bit more development even after death, and her connection with Odette was a great way to do this, and it complements Odette as a character and doesn't take away the focus from Odette either. I also like that the Traveler and Odette had an awkward start. We have to remember that the Traveler was not the one to kill Rosaline, and after she was defeated, the Traveler was just gonna leave it at that. It was the Shogun that went through with the execution. Jumping back into Odette's design, I was continuously surprised by all the little details I picked up when playing the quests. When they zoomed in on her face, I was able to see the little white glitter near some of her eyelashes. I could see all of the gems twinkling. Even the white sheer tights that she wears has some subtle swirl embroidery that makes yet another swan shape. In her braid, she has little gold diamonds that tie to the rest of her golden accents. I cannot stress to you how much love went into Odette's symbolism. And while there is much to love about Odette's design, I do want to address some critiques. Firstly, she is exposing quite a bit of skin for a character in a harsh, snowy environment. You could argue that she spends most of her time inside performing ballet, but she's also a member of the Fatui doing missions. Meeting her for the first time in that snowy mining town and seeing her arms exposed made it a little goofy, I'm not gonna lie. This also felt worse because one of the main conflicts in the story so far is 1, the lack of energy to go around to keep people warm, and 2, crazy snowstorms because of a monster kicking them up. So this makes the female playable cast look extra ridiculous running around with exposed skin. And as gorgeous as Odette is, she does fall into many of the overused female design tropes that hoyoverse loves to do. I made a whole video about it if you want to know more, but for Odette, she has the collar, a tiny detached sleeve. I wouldn't call it a sleeve, more like a cuff, but it's a similar shape to the other characters, a short skirt, and last but not least, heels. I want to take a moment to really discuss the heels because ballet is known for its pointy-toed shoes, which Odette does indeed have, but I saw many players confused that the pointy shoe had a large heel attached to it. I think it's a fair observation, and I decided to do some research. It turns out that early ballet dancers did in fact have small heels attached to their shoes. As exhausted as many of us are with constantly seeing fitting heels slapped onto the female characters of Genshin Impact, there seems to be a legit reason for Odette. Sure, they could have gone with a more modern flat ballet heel today, but it's not exactly incorrect for her to have heels. According to the information I found, heels were on ballet shoes in the 17th century. That being said, heels on ballet shoes stopped being standard in around the 1730s so dancer could perform better footwork and leaps. Swan Lake, the dance that Odette directly references, was created in 1877 in Moscow, meaning Odette's ballet shoes could have been completely flat to match the time frame. Then again, Genshin Impact takes inspiration from real life and is under no obligation to match it perfectly. And if I had to take a guess, they were going to slap heels onto Odette regardless if there was a historical significance for it or not. In Odette's case, they lucked out. You'll have to tell me how you feel about the ballet shoes in the comments. And to add on to the heels discussion, she actually wears the normal pointy-toed shoes in one of her trailers. Looking at her splash art, I am so happy to see so much negative space. This allows the giant swans to really stand out, and if you are pulling for Odette, you'll know immediately if you won your 50-50 or not. Plus, the swans make a heart near the middle of the splash art, which is just cute, and it matches the little hearts on her design. The fact that they have one half being a brighter blue to represent Odette's passion for ballet, and the other half being a darker bluish purple to represent her fatui side is so smart. They even included a darker silhouette of Odette in the back with a mask on her to further connect herself to the fatui. The extra embellishments of the snowflakes and the feathers perfectly embodies the region she's from and further brings home the swan symbolism if it wasn't already obvious enough. There is a lot of love about Odette's design, and it's clear to me that the designers kept an extra eye on all of her details. Even the 3D modeling took a jump in quality as there's more hair strands and some subtle embroidery present on Odette's model. Heck, if you want to turn one of Odette's idols into a loop, she will continue to spin around, which is another direct reference to the 32 twirls from Swan Lake. This is considered one of the hardest tricks to do in ballet, and it's a fun little gimmick that just adds a little extra flavor to this character. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and consider subscribing. What do you think about Odette's design? Will you be pulling for the ballerina or will you be skipping? For me, I want to pull, but I think I might be skipping because I have a guarantee and I must get Mitya at all costs. Odette is my first breakdown of the Snezhnaya cast, but if conversations surrounding character design are interesting to you, I have a whole playlist you can check out next. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.